All right. Hey, everybody. If you're watching this video, hopefully it's because you are getting ready to answer the questions for lesson 23. So I'm here in my office and recording this for you guys. So I just want to say a couple of things that we miss you, and I hope that you're surviving, and not just surviving, but thriving. Hopefully you're not driving your brother or sister or your parents too crazy, and that hopefully we'll be able to weather this storm together. And so what I'm going to try to do is each week make a video that you can watch that hopefully will be a blessing to you, and just kind of highlight some of the things that are in your book that will help you with this. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to get right into it. All right. So page 113 is lesson 23, the miracles of Christ. Of course, our vocab for this week includes words like Pharisee, palsy, paralytic, leprosy, blasphemy, and mute or dumb. Now, we know that Jesus had power and authority because he was God in the flesh. All right. So he wasn't just somebody that was a very special person, like a prophet in the Old Testament who had the power to do some things like Elijah, or somebody that was like an angel who had the authority to do certain things and give messengers or messages as a messenger. But he was indeed the Son of God. He's God in the flesh. So the focus of your lesson, and some of you I know have already done this, I'm recording this here on Tuesday and I'll upload this for you soon, is to look at how there's different types of miracles. Okay, so there's different types of miracles. So Jesus had power over death, he had power over demons, he had power over disease, and he had power over nature. All right, so on the chart, you were to read those scripture passages and then look at and then answer them. How was it? What did he do? What was the actual miracle? For instance, the first one is that he healed a leper. Leprosy was a very terrible disease. And if you got leprosy back in Jesus's day, it almost meant certain death. In fact, you had to walk through the cities and you had to yell, unclean, unclean. And so when he healed a leper, that showed his power over disease. All right, that's kind of an easy one there. Hopefully you wrote that down if you haven't already. And that's fine. If you haven't already, you can fill this in. We're not going to do all of them. But how did the people respond? Well, the Bible says that great multitudes came to Jesus to be healed. So if you saw somebody that had leprosy, okay, and they were covered in these sores, and maybe they were missing some fingers or missing an ear, or you would see it, and you'd be, if you saw somebody with leprosy, you'd be like, whoa, and they'd have all these bandages wrapped around them, and they had to yell, unclean, unclean, kind of like what we're doing with the coronavirus, coronavirus, and everybody's, staying away from each other, and you should do that, of course, and you saw somebody get healed, and you'd be like, yes, I think I want to go and see who that person is. Okay, so that's how to do the chart on page 114. So you're writing down the miracle, and then the type of miracle is whether it was power over death, power over disease, power over demons, or power over nature. Okay, does that make sense? All right, piece of cake. So that's pretty much it. And that chart goes all the way to page 115. So do your best to answer those, and hopefully they make sense. And, you can send me a message if you're not sure if it was like power over demons or power over nature, and if it was, disease or death, and maybe you're confused on that. That's fine. Okay, page 116, how did the religious leaders respond? Well, here's what you need to remember is that we can make some conclusions regarding the differences in the attitudes between the ordinary people who loved God and received Jesus as their Messiah, and the religious leaders of the day, who many of them, not all of them, but many of them did not see Jesus for who he truly was. So the answer for the first one is that you should written something like this. The people generally believed in him, but the religious leaders continually found fault in him. And that's why the Bible says that sometimes Jesus would speak with these people, and like, for instance, with the Pharisees, and he would call them whited sepulchres. A sepulchre is where you buried the dead. So on the outside, they looked nice and clean, but on the inside, they were full of dead bones. And he was rebuking them for being people who were seemingly righteous, but were not. Isn't it interesting that they responded that way? That they were the ones that did not see Jesus for who he was, but people like Bartimaeus, who was a blind man, he saw him for who he was. Mary, who had demons inside of her that Jesus cast out, Mary Magdalene, and she saw Jesus for who he was. So we know that eventually they felt as if the people, the answer to the next question is to better understand why the religious leaders felt this way. You read John 11, 47 through 53, explain why. So answer that. Hopefully you can see, why they feared what Jesus was doing. But the final question is, what did they plan to do? And this, of course, was a fulfillment of prophecy, because we know that in a short little while, many churches are going to be celebrating Easter. And we know that he died 3 days before. He was buried in a tomb, and on that resurrection morning, he came back to life. God raised him from the dead. And our church is planning on doing an outdoor service in our parking lot. So hopefully that'll work out, and other churches I know are doing something very similar. But the point is that they were threatening to take his life. In fact, several times they would actually go with him to try to cast stones at him or do whatever. And because they were so angry because of what he was saying, he was claiming to be the Son of God. Okay, so hopefully that helps you a little bit. There's not really a whole lot to go over in this lesson. So what I'd like you to do is just work really hard each week and getting the notes done. And then, so I know that some of you were wondering about how the quizzes went and had sent me some messages. So everybody did fine on that. But on the quizzes from now on, we have to make sure that they have a name on them, and that we're still trying to figure this out. So last week was kind of our first week, and so some of them I did. So I just gave everybody 100, and I've checked all the quizzes, and they were pretty spot on anyways. It was only a couple people who missed some that were legitimate misses. You know what I mean? Like some of you spelled Passover and you didn't capitalize the P, and so I make the quizzes online, and so I'm going to do them all from now on multiple choice. Okay, so that makes it a little bit easier. It's either A, B, or C, maybe a D. We'll see. And that's all you have to do then. You'll answer the quizzes that way. It'll be a lot easier. But there's going to be a place that I put for your name. So sometimes when they're uploaded, I can't figure out who's who without a name being on them. Okay. All right. So that's that. I really miss you guys. I do. I know some of you probably still in your pajamas watching this and trying to balance your video game playing or your YouTube watching with doing your schoolwork. But let me just encourage you with this. Do your best to honor the Lord. All right. Mrs. Small and I are praying for you guys each and every day. And one of the things that we want to encourage you to do is do your best to honor the Lord. Okay. Because this is still real school. Okay. I know you're at home and it doesn't feel like school, but you're doing your schoolwork just like we would be in school. Obviously, it's not the same setting, but these are grades that count. And so we want you to make sure that you take that seriously. And I appreciate everybody turning stuff in. If you have a question, you send it to me. I will answer it. I promise. I really will. I'll look at what you say, and I try to respond within like a couple of minutes. I have my phone on me all the time, and I have people from the church texting me or calling me, and if you guys do that, I get I get an alert on my phone, and it says, hey, you have a notification, and I'll go check it. Some of you are just asking questions about it. Okay. All right. So Jesus performed miracles to prove that he was God, prove that he was sent by God, to prove that he was indeed the Messiah. So hopefully this lesson is encouraging to you to think about Jesus's power over death, demons, disease, and nature. And so hopefully this video is good, and I will talk to you later. Bye.